Opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not WSTU. WSTU does not endorse any products mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU.
The Treasure Coast longest running local talk radio show is on the air. The Treasure Coast Forum. Get interested, get educated, get involved, and give us a call with your opinions at 220-9788. And here's your host of the Treasure Coast Forum.
Hey, everybody, you're listening to WSTU 1450. I'm Amir Meehan, and I'm here with Mr. Thomas.
Well, thank you. That was well done.
Thanks.
Done with horological meticulosity.
What? Did you make that up? Horological? Is that like girl organization?
No, not at all.
Horological meticulosity?
No. Actually, it was made up from a friend of mine who was, he's in the Big Band Hall of Fame as a radio broadcaster. His name is Greg Sherlock, known from WTVX when it was a CBS affiliate back in the 80s. And he worked there in Master Control, ran camera and that kind of thing. And I worked with him, and he was program director of then WTTB and WGYL, which was an easy listening show. And he is an authority on big band music and that kind of thing. And
where is he now?
I don't know. I have to find out. Greg is a little bit of an eccentric genius.
I love Big Bang too.
Yeah, he is one of the most interesting person to talk to when when you get to meet him. I got to meet him like 20 years later after we worked over together at WTVX. I was a director of a broadcasting school in Orlando, and he was looking for a part-time job. I was hiring part-time instructors. They're not full-time because we teach many subjects in radio and television. I hired him, and I said, well, geez, I haven't seen you in about 20 years. And one of the first things he says, yes, that was said with horological meticulosity. And I said, what does that mean? And he said, absolutely nothing, but it sounds great.
It doesn't sound great. It sounds like an STD or something.
He says he said that it really means utter brilliance.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I thought either horological sound like something woman, and then meticulosity or organized, like planned, a woman planned, very well planned.
So being very meticulous.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So we were talking about something off the air a few moments ago about people that like to be in front of a camera and people that don't like to be in front of a camera. Myself, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And you talked about it.
Yeah. But another thing why the purpose of taking a photo, right? Why people want to do it, if it's not for their ego or to get likes for looking like the way they are in that image, it's for memories, right? But I feel like pictures are the worst source for memories. I think they're the worst for it. Why? Because especially if you're conscious of the photo being taken, you're changing your entire demeanor at that moment just to have your photo taken. So really what you were doing in that moment is completely disappears, and it just becomes just for the photo. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then also another thing is that a picture fails to capture what you were thinking or the purpose of what you were doing at the time, of the memory. Like your brain has it. And sometimes later, like if you have that memory, pictures will show something else and it might show a lie, Exactly.
Well,
it might freak you out.
Well, you also have to think about this. Sometimes when pictures are taken, it's spur of the moment and they catch you off guard. Okay.
That's fine. Something. Candid, those are different.
Those are great
I'm
pictures.
talking about like the pictures where they literally you're aware of it. If I wasn't aware that I was on photo on camera, I wouldn't say don't take a picture because I don't even know you're taking a picture.
Right.
So you're actually capturing that moment the way it actually is.
Right.
So, as soon as you say, let's take a photo, I mean, that's the same reason why social media is a huge hoax. I mean, it's such a, like people who like see all these people's lives and their lives aren't like that.
Yep.
Like there'll be this random lady and she'll be like, oh my God, my husband wanted a midnight snack at like 3 a.m. So I am making a handmade souffle and whatever. And she'll be showing a cooking video, but then she has like $1,000 dress on. Her hair is done, makeup is done, the
Right.
lights are all off, acting like it's midnight.
Mm.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
It's
absolutely.
ridiculous.
Uh,
So it just becomes for the sake of the photo. It's for the sake of the presentation and not for the sake of
Mhm.
preserving what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't believe how it's online. You look at Facebook and you look at all the stars that supposedly are on there,
Mhm.
and they're asking whether you like their photo. Well, actually, they're just
Facebook.
fishing for all that information.
Only seasoned men look at Facebook.
No, I
No, no.
no,
They're seasoned.
no,
Only seasoned.
it's oddly enough, the only way I can reach my brother is on Messenger.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
only way and he's
Texting?
he's in
You
Georgia.
call it Messenger. You actually call it the actual name.
Well, it is. It's Messenger.
But yeah, but everyone just calls it texting.
Well,
the
you're
texting
texting
app.
on Messenger.
I know, but no
Yeah.
one calls it Messenger. I
Why?
guess only
It
seasoned
says
folks.
Messenger.
I know, but no one does that. No one-
Well, I do. So
well, my
there.
generation doesn't at all. Not even the millennials do that.
Oh well, I'm yeah. Okay then.
That's fine. No, that's
no.
cool.
But it's the only way. Now my brother's a little older than me, but
Mhm.
he doesn't like to pick up the phone and talk.
Mhm.
But he'll text me on Messenger.
Yeah.
All the
A
time.
lot of I think
You know.
that's usually people prefer texting
Yeah.
on Messenger
Right.
than calling on caller.
Right.
What do they call it? Phone? What is
Yeah.
it called? Is it called the phone app?
Yeah.
What's the actual name for it?
It is. It's a phone.
I want to
app.
know.
Messenger phone. app.
Communication app? I have no idea.
I guess it would be that.
It's
wouldn't it?
probably phone. It's
Yeah.
probably phone.
Now, when the cell phones were first coming out, now I remember when I
Mm-hmm.
had what was called a beeper, and you probably know what that
Mhm.
is, right? Okay. And I thought that was cool, That was back in the day in the 80s. And then we got the cell phones. Have you ever seen the television show? This is before your time, but you still may have seen it. Miami Vice.
I've heard of it.
Okay.
I've seen the outfits. They're
That-
pretty cool.
And
I just confirmed it is called phone.
okay. Okay. You Googled it.
No, I
Okay.
took it out of my toolbox down
Right.
here, so I put
Okay.
it on my home screen, so
Oh,
it shows
good.
me phone.
Okay. The phone
Yeah.
app.
The
which
phone is called phone.
phone.
So why isn't the texting app called text?
Because it's called Messenger. Well,
But-
that particular one.
But you're not messengering someone. You're texting someone. Just like when
I'm-
your phone, you're phoning
Uh,
someone.
but I'm sending somebody a message through text.
That's true. But then then you would call the phone app call?
Well,
With that
you
logic.
can call through the phone app.
Yeah, I know. But you. Let's stop.
We can
We're
just
not
go
Apple
on.
executives.
No, well, we're not. No.
No.
But you have an Apple, and I have an Android,
Oh,
and
okay.
and an iPad. So
Oh,
I
okay.
speak Apple and Android.
Oh, cool.
So Windows and Mac I speak. Because I have a Mac and I also have a Windows-based
Mhm.
laptop too, which for me, some applications are better on one than the other. It just depends.
Okay.
You know.
So what about
Um,
Miami Vice?
Well, Miami Vice, I had that white blazer that
Mm-hmm.
Don Johnson used to
Yeah.
wear back in the day because it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I had the block phone. The
Oh,
one
the brick.
I had that.
Oh wow.
And so we started out with that. And actually, that has great reception. And what the government did to that was to cut off all communications with that when they started coming out with the smartphones,
Mm-hmm.
really. So they don't let you use that anymore
Why?
for some reason. I don't know. I wish I knew.
Maybe the corporations
Somebody
want more
knows.
control.
No, never. That
Never.
never happens. That's an evil ploy. So through the week, we've had a lot of things happen. Had your birthday last week.
Oh
right?
yeah.
So
I'm an adult now,
you are.
kind of, but in the eyes of the law, not in the eyes of me, but
Well, that me too. But I'm still a kid at heart. Still, I still.
I'm a kid everywhere. It's bad. I don't have maturity.
That's not a bad thing at this time.
I know. I'm only 18.
Yeah, no, I like it.
But now, like
that's good.
my friends who are younger than me, I kind of joke that now, when I drive you home, and if I don't drive you home, I'll be a kidnapper officially. Like,
because you're legal. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to watch things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so. Man, it's such interesting.
But I look younger than them.
And and
They're all like a foot taller than me.
okay. Well, I'm about a foot taller than my sister.
Cool.
And she's a little younger than me, but yeah. So yeah, looking younger than what you are, that's not a bad thing at all, in my opinion.
In my age, it is
yeah.
because then when I'm driving, cops give me, they're like, should I pull her over? Should I not? because it's 100. She's definitely underage
If-
driving without a license.
If they pull you over and find out there's nothing wrong, I mean,
I know, but then that
you
would
know?
take up time.
Well, that's
They
what-
haven't done that yet, but they give me
Why
those
would
looks and it
they?
makes me nervous. Like they look
That's
so
in
they look
your
so
head.
suspicious.
Well, see, that's in your head. That's why.
All right, no.
Yeah.
My mom was sitting next to me and she knew. She saw it. too. It's not just me.
Your mom
saw it,
looks
yeah.
younger too than what she is.
No. Like she
Yeah.
was sitting there and
No,
we both saw the cop because I was dropping my brother off and my
Right.
mom was sitting in the passenger seat. There's
Mhm.
a cop standing right there. We're going 5 miles an hour. So it's a whole staring contest. You can't make that up. You can't make that up.
You could. It would be fun to watch. know. But I mean, think about it. But if you're not doing anything wrong, if the lights or whatever, you're signaling
Mhm.
properly and you're driving the right speed limit and that kind of thing, why would he bother you?
I
Really?
do look ridiculous though. I have a even with the seat all the way adjusted up, I still
Mhm.
need a booster seat.
Okay.
And it's like a 3-inch booster seat, even when the seat's all the way up.
well, you
And
got-
I have to have a third adjustment to the like a seat as well, which only
Mhm.
my dad and mom's car had. That's why I didn't buy a new car.
Mhm.
I need to use one of theirs because they had that special adjustment that I
Uh-huh.
need. Otherwise, I'll break my neck while driving.
There's got to be a car that has a seat goes up enough to make you.
No,
comfortable,
that's
you know?
fine. But there's like, you know
Mhm.
how you move the seat back and forth?
Yeah.
Usually the headrests are usually at an angle and it's an acute angle
Mhm.
towards the driver's head. That makes no sense. And so for someone my height, if I move like, want to relax.
Yeah, I can't even hear you.
I know I move back. But if I want to relax,
Yeah.
I have to look down in order for me to actually headrest will force me to look down a bit.
Mhm.
And so my mom and dad's car, they have a third adjustment where only the top half reclines.
Mhm.
And so I need that.
You need it.
I need it.
Need it. All right. Well, I'm sure it's going to work out.
I'm an inch away from handicap parking eligibility.
Oh, there's a height. I didn't know that. Unfortunately have handicap because
Mhm.
arthritis, which I'm not proud of, but people have that, and there's some difficulty.
Mhm.
Some days are better than others, but it's something that I'm dealing with for years.
Mhm.
But it's unfortunate, but it's manageable to a point.
Mhm.
But going back to what has happened over the week, we have a new president.
Yeah.
And we're going to see what happens with that situation. And
Yeah.
when he gets sworn in on January 20th. And I'm just hoping for good things. That's all. A lot of things are being said with, how much fact do we know about different things?
Actually,
that are
I
being
watched
said?
a video essay on how presidents don't really affect the economy as much as we think they do.
A lot of people say that. I know that I talked to a fellow colleague on the air
Yeah.
about this, that
Mhm.
I worked with. And he said the same thing. He said, is it really going to affect me that much? I mean, something that affects me directly in the pocketbook would affect me, but anything else, not. I don't know.
I think like it can happen, but I feel like it's not. Trump isn't, the main factor for it.
Yeah, I think there's enough. He has administration and that kind of thing.
But
and
we do have Republicans do have a Senate and a House majority, so it looks like a lot will get done on one side at least.
it should.
Yeah, it should.
It should.
Mhm.
We'll see how it all pans out.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So.
And also one thing that was interesting is that I was questioning, do we really have blue states?
Mm-hmm.
Blue states versus blue cities. And when you actually look at California and all these states that are considered blue,
Mm-hmm.
most of it is red. It's just the cities that are blue. So it's technically, I know the population is concentrated there. That's where the
Right.
electoral votes come from.
Right.
But at the end of the day, California isn't a blue state. It's just full of blue cities.
Well, overall, with the population going
Yeah, of
leaning
course,
towards that
but-
way, which is why they got
I know.
that side.
Yeah.
So if I go through our famous people's birthdays today, want to go through that a little
Okay.
bit? Okay. King Charles III is 76 today.
Oh no.
What?
It's just today in school we always talk trash about King Charles III
Well,
because we hate him.
well,
But
I'm-
I mean, so there was some phone call.
mhm,
I don't know if I can say it on the radio. But he had a phone call with Camilla once,
mhm.
and he said that he wanted to be her tampon.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know it's
Terrible.
terrible.
How could you say
Did you
that?
see the portrait? He had his portrait done. He
Mhm.
looks like a villain in that portrait. It's all red everywhere, and then it's just his
Crazy
face.
Oh,
Not
man.
just the big ears. I know
Mhm.
his face looks like an imploding tomato, but let's.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I hate him.
Oh, I'm
Let's.
sorry to hear that. I mean,
Uh,
I don't know the guy, and,
oh
you
no,
know,
you don't know what he did to Diana.
well, and I don't know that either. I know what was said, rumors about,
I don't think.
but I'm not going to pass any rumors out of the National Enquirer or anything like that.
I'll
You can
confirm
do
it.
it for me.
I just don't like King Charles III. I do like Kate Middleton though. She seems nice.
I think so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. James Young is 75. You may not know who that is, but he's one of the guitarists from the rock group Styx. Okay, and Styx pretty
Mhm.
popular in the 70s and 80s. A lot of good songs that I don't know if you know them, Babe.
I don't know Sticks.
I should play some for you. Another artist that a lot of people know, it's a kind of a certain following. Yanni is 70 today. The former Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice, is 70 today. I'm sure you've heard that name before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm checking. I'm just checking. Let me see. I don't know if you follow baseball or anything like that.
Nope.
Okay, then you wouldn't know who Kurt Schilling is, but a great pitcher. Won the World Series with a couple of teams. I know the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Boston Red Sox. 58 years of age today, and also a play-by-play guy now. So there are some birthdays for you right there that are famous. And if it's your birthday and you're listening today, and we appreciate that, happy birthday to you. So,
Also, I've been watching Charlie Kirk's some of his videos and stuff,
mhm.
and I've been looking a lot about his stuff about whether college is a scam or not.
Wow,
Especially because I'm going into college.
right.
So, what
That's
do you
interesting.
think? What do you think? Do
Okay.
you think college is a scam?
No. I went to college. I went to Indian River Community College. Okay, now it's Indian River
We're
State
talking about the
College.
big universities.
Right.
Community is different.
Yeah. I think it really depends upon what you're going for. Really, I don't scam. No, you're going to get a lot of knowledge. I don't think I'll use algebra or anything like that.
Algebra in college.
I'm saying in the workplace, algebra
Oh.
didn't help me being a broadcaster. But
Oh, really?
no, geometry didn't help me either. But taking
But the
broadcasting classes
thinking
did.
required to do those.
Yes,
Yeah, that is
That-
gonna help.
I think that makes you more worldly.
Yeah, but those two classes are high school classes.
Right, but you can take college algebra.
There's college algebra.
Yeah, I took that.
Anyway.
No, when I took it in high school, it's unfortunate. I had to take it 3 times.
Oh wow.
I'll tell you why.
Algebra wasn't your thing?
No, actually, math was my thing, but I found out why I was successful the last time. I took it one time in 9th grade, didn't do well. Took it again in summer school in 9th grade, going into 10th grade, and didn't do well. And then I took it again in 10th grade, and then aced it. And then New York had a test. I don't know if they still do, called the Regents exam, and I flying colors, 98 on it. Okay.
Mhm.
The teacher realized what the problem was, because when you get into higher mathematics like algebra and trigonometry and that kind of thing, and calculus, it's the vocabulary of the math,
Mhm.
learning the terms. That's where I got messed up. And after I got that, I did well. But
Mhm.
I didn't know that at the time. I just couldn't catch on to, and I had friends trying to help me. Oh, this is easy. The cosine of this. And then I'm like,
Hmm.
what are you talking about? So I think, but no, I don't think college is a scam. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a real
Mhm.
good thing.
But then you have universities, but you're paying $50,000, and what you want is very different than what the university is required to do. So in order to get what you want, you have to do what the university tells you to do, like meet these general requirements and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're diversity classes,
Right.
sometimes random, and you're paying so much money for them, and it's
Yeah.
like people are like, my time is being wasted.
I understand that. And they're making you more worldly, if you will. They are. I mean, we had to,
Yeah.
back when I was going to college too,
Mhm.
you had to take certain courses to get your degree. You had to.
Yeah.
And so many credits. And that's, I think that's a well-rounded education for you.
Mhm.
And also a lot of people, young and old, they really don't know what they want to do for a career. It really helps them figure it out when they're doing so many
Mhm.
different
But
things.
now that we have the internet, you can kind of Google stuff and figure it out. You could get exposed that way
It really does
rather than
help.
spending $50,000 a year attending class. And another thing is that a lot of people at lectures,
Mhm.
they aren't helpful. They really, because you can get all these lectures online for
Mhm.
free.
Okay.
Every Harvard computer science lecture is online for free.
Mhm.
You know? So what exactly are these kids buying? Now, if you're buying a certification, you can get those certifications at a cheaper price at other establishments. The certification is the same. Prestige, sure, but at the end of the
Exactly.
day, they're going to look for experience more than prestige.
Well, I know from a hiring standpoint,
Mhm.
because I was a regional director
Mhm.
for, at the time, Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Okay. So
Mhm.
I ran Dallas, Austin, Houston, and Orlando campuses, 4 campuses.
Yeah.
When I was hiring people, um, I looked at their educational background, and there's a good reason. I mean, for stability, for knowledge. Obviously, I looked at their work history and experience because you want to see that they can do the job. Some people are great on the air and great behind the scenes, but they're not good teachers. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So I had to look at a lot of things, but I think a well-rounded education, if you're investing time in yourself,
Mhm.
to better yourself,
Yeah.
that's the person I want working for me because they're going the extra mile to make sure, that they're going to do the best job they
Yeah.
can. Somebody that just is a
I think
goofball, I'm not going to do
I'm
that.
someone who's applying to college, and
Mhm.
it would be ridiculous if I called it a scam and said I believe it's a scam if I'm going the lengths that I'm going,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So that's because I kind of distinguish between training and an education.
Mhm.
And so, like, a training would be I go to IRSC and get a veterinary like training, like to be a veterinary assistant, or like I
Mhm.
know South Fork, they have a lot of certification CTE. That's
Mhm.
our thing. We have IB and we have CTE stuff, so people can get like an associate's degree in being a vet,
Mhm.
or they got like auto mechanic and stuff like that. If
Right.
I could do that then and get there,
Right.
but I don't want to get a training. I want an education. I think it's
Sure.
fun writing essays. I want to spend all day writing essays and doing stuff just for the hell of it. So that's why I want to go to college, because I think that's the best for that. But also, you're also buying crazy amount of resources, especially if you're going to a university like NYU.
Mhm.
The amount of resources, like if you
Yeah.
have a business,
Mhm.
just being an NYU alumni,
Mhm.
put a signpost of I want to hire this marketing person. I want this. You'll have someone from Abu Dhabi call you and be like, "Hey, I'll be your marketing executive." You know?
My dad, he's no longer with us, but he is an NYU alum. All
Mhm.
right. I got out of the Air Force in the Korean conflict back in the 50s and 4 years in NYU. And he consequently became the controller of Doctors Hospital in New York. It was right across the street from Gracie Mansion, where the mayor lives.
Mhm.
And he was there, and we moved to Florida when he retired and that kind of thing. But that's interesting that you say that. Yeah, but you're carrying that credibility of that institution with you.
Yeah.
You are,
And you're also getting a bunch of resources, opportunities, benefits.
right?
There
And you
are a
get
bunch of student benefits.
and the knowledge from the professors, the
Yeah.
proctors that you can't
Not just
replace.
that, but like the relationships that you get, the connections.
That's it too. I mean, these
Like, how many people know a guy from college who can help them out with something?
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have. I have friends I went to college with that I'm still friends with.
Mhm.
That I still talk to. That
Yeah.
even though they're in another state somewhere and they're doing something completely different, it's good to relate to them. It's good to reach out to them once in a
Also,
while.
the learner has a lot of choice. The student has a lot
Mhm.
of choice in what they do with college. Like,
Mhm.
they can choose to get a degree that won't lead to a job. And I know like
Mhm.
almost more than like 41% of people who go to college or don't get really a job afterwards. But that's because a lot of them don't make the right choices for that.
Well, that's a good point. That's a
Yeah.
real good point. Now, running the school that I tell you I was running for
Mhm.
radio and television training, okay, behind the scenes on the air, a lot of people got jobs, a lot of people did not. And they said, "Oh, this is a scam." It's like, you got to put the effort. You're going to get out of it what you put into it.
Mhm.
And that's a fact because I went to the school myself
Mhm.
back in the 80s and got a certificate from it. And I went to college too for broadcasting. And I felt that helped me. The real world experience of doing what you want to do for a career is really going to help you in the long run.
Yeah.
That's
And so
where I place
colleges give
that.
you internships
Mm-hmm.
and all sorts of stuff, but also a lot of schools have started this interdisciplinary. You choose what you want to do towards your degree.
Right.
A lot of people graduate with the same degree, but their approach was completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Especially NYU is a great example of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there'll be a business major who does music, like super into music. So then they kind of combine that together and they go into the music business. And
Right.
so like a billion things that you can do.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, to me, it makes you more diverse. It really does. I think this is a great conversation. We're going to carry it on in just a little bit. We're going to take about a minute break and come back. How's that sound?
Lit.
All right. So more Treasure Coast Forum when we come back on 1450 WSTU.
Are we still on?
And we are back, and seems like our computer just didn't like me that much, so we're gonna reboot that thing and get it going so that we can get those people talking here in a moment, okay? But we'll come back. How about that? All right, let's
Okay.
do that, and let me play with the computer. So, if you would carry on. All right. So, what do we want to talk about now? Because there's a lot of things we talk about at Treasure Coast Forum. You brought up, a lot of subjects. I think that a lot of people that are in the same boat you are, that are thinking about going to college or already set up to go to college,
Mhm.
and maybe they don't have their mind made up what they want to do.
I think it's impossible to not have your mind made up on something and have a strong application for college.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really hard to do that, especially if you're going into the higher institutions, Ivy League or bigger schools, maybe like Michigan and stuff like that, big state schools. You kind of have to have some sort of passion. I think it's absolutely impossible for someone to not have something. They might not realize how to present it, articulate it, or recognize it, but everyone has something. And I think that I think it's very important in a kid's life towards this, especially for this stage, to figure out what it is. Sophomore year, I didn't know what it was. Freshman year, I didn't know what it was. Last year, I started getting it. So I think most kids usually get it junior year. And how you get there is do just do the things you love, a bunch of the things you love, do it very well with love, and then at the end you look at the sum of everything you've done that's full of love and you're like, what does it add up to? And then you'll know.
Well, some people do know right off the bat what they want to do.
Oh yeah.
But I
Yeah.
wasn't one of those people.
Yeah, and most people aren't.
So it's interesting.
And
that
of
you bring
course, when
that
we're
up.
little kids, we say something completely different than what happens when we're older because we change. Like when I was a little kid, I wanted to be an astrophysicist, not an astrophysicist, aerospace engineer.
Mm-hmm.
I would never in hell be an engineer right now.
No.
I wouldn't go anywhere near it. I can't. I'm not a STEM kid. I look like a STEM kid, but I'm not a STEM kid.
Is that
What I
right?
mean by look like is I'm an Indian with glasses.
Ah,
But I can't. Everyone else, all the other Indians that I know, they're all STEM. I can't. I just don't like STEM. I mean, it's not like I do poorly in it. It's just I just don't feel that love for it.
mm-hmm.
It's important. I'm interested sometimes, but if anything, something STEM related would be a little bit more like a hobby to me. What I love is the humanities and stuff like that. I love doing what I do in radio. I love research. I love law. I just love looking at court cases and debate and all that stuff. That's what I really, really love. And especially in comparison to STEM, I mean, there's no competition. That's my path, not STEM.
Okay.
So that's my spiel.
And I am playing with the computer here to try to get things to work.
Oh, cool. I can
it's-
talk about some random thingy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, did you know that
Hmm.
the calendar that we have, the reason why there's 7 days in a week is because at the time the civilization that started the calendar only saw 7 planets. So then they're like, let's make 7 days of the week because we have 7 celestial bodies. And so they did that and we still use it. But what's wild is that, of course, our measure of time is just our own perception. It's our own thingy. And
Mhm.
humans are very different in how they want to perceive things. According to the Islamic calendar, we're in the year 1466 or something like that. We're in the 1400s according to the Islamic calendar.
Mhm.
So this is a great existential crisis for you guys. That it's only like 2024 to so many people. And I remember the Jensen Beach AP Human Geography teacher, Mr. I don't know, Sanchez, or we call him Sancho. Everyone calls him Sancho.
Sancho.
So I don't remember his full name. We just call him Sancho.
Okay.
So I never went to Jensen Beach, but I went to an 9-hour AP Human Geography review before the exam on a Saturday one. So that's where I met him. he kept, whenever he talked about the Western world, us, he kept emphasizing that we are the weird ones, which we are the weird ones. I mean, the West, it may seem really big, but in comparison to the rest of the world, it is very small. So we are definitely the weird ones. And our birth rates are lower than the other places too. They got more people. And the East is much bigger than you actually think. And so we're weird in the sense that the way we live is actually not the way the majority of human beings live. And the way we see things is not the actual way the majority of people in the world see things, which is crazy. The way we practice medicine, our entertainment, what we find joyful, markets, everything is weird. I'll keep going. Okay. So all of it is very, very weird, which is insane to me. I think it would be insane to everyone else because, everything someone's saying that it's actually rare. So we should definitely be grateful for what we have. It also reminds me of, there's an actress, Mila Kunis. I don't know how to pronounce her name. She's married to Ashton Kutcher. And she comes from like a Middle Eastern country or something like that. I don't remember, but she's not from the United States originally. And she talked about when she first came to the United States, what drove her crazy is when she went to the supermarket, she saw bananas everywhere and you could just buy bananas in abundance. And she freaked out. So if you think about it, the things we take for granted are something, it's like a miracle to most of the rest of the world, which is insane as well. And that goes back to something that we do every day is overgeneralizing. And so we take what we see in our own immediate setting and we make that our whole heuristic, our whole category of how we see the world, our own lens. And so that kind of leaves us in a state of ignorance at the end of the day, because one of the fallacies is overgeneralization. So when we try to learn and understand about the world, when I'm trying as an 18-year-old to learn and understand about the world, I'm realizing that I'm overgeneralizing every single piece of information that comes into my head, every single one. I'm making assumptions. I'm doing all these things. For instance, I'll present to you guys, for an example, an argument that would be fully embedded in overgeneralizations, like a really bad one. Let's say, hypothetically, that I wanted to say that let's end world hunger. And in order to end world hunger, we have to all get rid of civilization and everyone needs to be a pastoral tribe again. Because if everyone was a tribe,
Wow.
everyone would be fed by their own tribe. And that's it. World hunger is done. So technically, maybe we shouldn't even talk about ending world hunger or all these issues, because these issues are the price we have to pay for the civilization that we live in. Kind of like a social contract that we do with the government. So then you would start to like argue that, since we built a whole system that is dedicated to reaching what we want, we have sacrificed the way of living that always gave us what we needed. So that, I mean, it's interesting, right? But what I did was overgeneralize so many things. That's why that argument's kind of flawed. I overgeneralize what a tribe is.
Right.
I overgeneralize what our needs and wants are. I overgeneralize civilization as a whole. And so that's our problem. That's a problem I have when I try to understand the world or see things, because with my limited experience, right? And the Western thought and the Western world is the minority. Again, we're the weird ones. So we need to recognize that. And so when we take information in, we have to recognize that that's probably not the 100% correct way of viewing it or the only way of viewing it. And so all of this, I know we went into existentialism right now, but I mean, you told me to keep going. So
I thought it's
going.
good. I mean, a lot of people are listening to what you're saying and said, may agree or disagree. And if they disagree, actually they could call in. Well, our phone's having an issue today. That's one. We had a call that was trying to come in earlier, and we are having a little phone issue, and hopefully we'll have it fixed for next week. But it's been noted that there is an issue with that.
Cool.
Unfortunately, because I'm sure there are people who would like to call in and say, okay, well, let me tap her brain a little bit. Let me tap into
Maybe
that.
they'll fix me or something.
Not that
Save me.
Not that you're.
I know a kid who's trying to convert me to Christianity. I do.
Well,
Okay, I'm not a Christian, but I absolutely, it's my favorite religion.
Okay.
If I could pick, like favorite chocolates, Christianity is definitely my favorite religion.
Okay.
I love the values. I went to Sunlight Christian Academy for 1 year, 2 years, and for pre-K.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I absolutely loved it. The Bible was so interesting. It felt like a TV show to me.
Right.
And when Jesus died, I cried because I'm like, they can't kill off the main character. And I just, but not just an entertainment view, but I really love the values. And some of them I kind of question. I'm like, why would Noah put all these animals in the ark, but didn't think of saving some humans? Sometimes I'll think about that. But at the end of the day, the values outside of just what's literally stated in the Bible that a lot of Christians have, because some of them misinterpret it, or they don't read the whole thing, but they just know the values, the main things that come from it.
Well,
I love them, and I
that's
live
great.
by them myself.
I think that's
So,
great.
yeah.
You should tune into our show tomorrow at 5:00 at 5:05. The pastor and the preacher's kid, Dr. Dino and Pastor Dino, he prefers to be called, and Traven, and they do a great job and talk about different aspects of life related to the Bible. It's good
That's
stuff right
cool.
here at 1450 WSTU.
Oh yeah, I remember one show I talked about Margaret Thatcher's speech of how Christianity is embedded in capitalism, which was very, very interesting. I'm always interested in how like the complex things are really just something simple that's decorated in flamboyance every single time. I think Richard Feynman was very correct in saying that true genius is taking something complex and putting it in simple terms,
Yeah,
something
make it
like
simple.
that. Yeah, making it simple. And I'm a very weird person. I could do calculus before I could wash my hair. Now, it's not that I was a child prodigy and doing calculus when I was 2 years old. This was 2 years ago I learned how to wash my hair. You get what I'm saying? So, I was, when I was a baby, I walked before I crawled. I never crawled. One day I just got up and walked. So I have trouble opening water bottles and snack boxes, but I could do other
Well,
things, right?
Yeah.
So it's weird the way my brain is. So that's why when I really look at big things, I try to simple it down. And if I can simple it down, that means I understand it. And I think every single complex matter ever is really just a simple reflection of human nature. Like, for instance, I'm not going to get into the complexities of how World War I started. To the average man, they don't care about all the political craziness and propaganda of it's between Serbia and Austria-Hungary. Why did everyone jump into it? Just alliances, pieces of paper just made them jump into it? No, the simple answer is just pride. That's it. That's literally why World War I happened. Pride.
You look at a lot of aspects of that. I know that myself, when I can justify something, it becomes easy for me. My brother is one of those individuals that has a very high IQ and can't put a key in a lock properly. You know what I mean? And he's an artist. He had been a makeup artist. He's retired now, but a makeup artist for years. A very prominent one in New York. Okay. And now he's retired in Georgia. But having said that, he has difficulty with, the easy things, opening doors.
I can't tie my shoelaces, guys.
Yeah, wow.
I can barely make a PB&J. If someone says make me dinner, I will, as long as I can microwave it, then it's fine.
Well,
then I can do it.
I'm not a good cook
takeout.
No, I'm not a good cook either.
Yeah, I know, but it's not cool. You don't have to cook a PB&J.
No.
It's very simple.
But if you did, that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it would just be burnt. But
yeah.
So then going back to how this simple and complex stuff goes back to Christianity and capitalism, at the end of the day, those human values, that simple stuff is what makes capitalism work. And so at everything that's ever complicated, there's a very simple human reason and very simple human lens that you can look at it, and all of a sudden anyone can understand it. Anyone. Doesn't matter that's why I don't believe in someone being smarter than everyone because they perform better or whatever. It's just perspective, really. Perspective is where genius is. With perspective, everyone's a genius.
Yeah, everybody's I would say everyone is good at something.
Yeah.
I know a friend of mine had an autistic son, and unfortunately he's not with us anymore. But this young man was brilliant with video games. Brilliant. I mean, beyond the people that designed the framework of a game, and he was just could figure it out in a matter of moments. Which is
I know. I have
amazing.
A friend. He's autistic. He predicted all the electoral votes and everything the way it was before, any decision desk or anyone else could. And he's always, on Reddit debating people, and he's a brilliant kid.
Absolutely. Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie with Dustin Hoffman,
Rain Man?
Prime example of what you're talking about. I mean, where they dropped the two.
Well, Dustin Hoffman, that character had it way more extreme though than my friend,
but
Yeah.
you dump the
He could, yeah, the
toothpicks on-
toothpicks, and he knows exactly how many there are on the floor and in the box still.
right. But if you take money out,
Hmm.
it just doesn't register with him.
Yeah, because no one ever really, he hasn't really wrapped that around his head yet. what it
Exactly,
means.
exactly. And I
Mhm.
think there was a fear for that too, as a matter of fact. But that's another story. We're going to attempt to take another break and see if our computer is,
Mhm.
I got the doctor to kind of work on it, so we're going to go see if it works, and if it does, we should be back in about a minute or two with
Okay.
more Treasure Coast Forum. Well, how about that?
How about what?
Woke up the computer.
Oh, okay, cool. That's what
And
happened.
we're back with Treasure Coast Forum.
So you were talking about how people want to listen to about what the young people are thinking. So
I think
I
so.
think it's pretty evident that a big part of the world today and with the youth today is this identity crisis, this whole gender thing, this
Mhm.
interpretations and all that stuff. And what I found, I read about this earlier today.
Uh-huh.
There was an experiment done in 1960s. It wasn't an experiment. There was a boy who was born and his genitalia was like messed up or whatever.
Okay.
His like reproductive that type of stuff.
Yeah,
So
it's
the
messed up.
doctors proposed that they give surgeries to give him female characteristics and told the parents to raise the boy as a girl and not tell him that he was born a boy. So
Wow.
the boy was raised as a girl.
Right.
By the time he was a teenager,
Mhm.
he didn't want to be a girl anymore. And he was like, I want to do dude stuff. And then the parents told him, and he's like, no, I want to go back to where I was. So he got the surgery and got his original
Restructured. Yeah.
restructured back.
Mhm.
And so then it started it was part of the nature versus nurture debate where people, it started questioning, is society really a determinant of our identities? Or
Wow.
maybe perhaps we can't completely undermine biology. Maybe we're underestimating how important biology really is in shaping who we are.
Well,
And
sure.
so that was very interesting. And a lot of people overlook that.
Yeah.
That's insane to me because he didn't know he was raised as a girl, but his biology said, I want to be a man
His
because he was a
gene-
man.
His genes, his
Yeah.
makeup. Mhm.
And he even had like problems with reproduction. It's not like he had like an overall like crazy amount of testosterone that made him think that.
Right.
He had that problem. He still wanted to be what he was.
Right.
And so that really starts to make you question, because a lot of people always say it's society has such a big role. It's much bigger than nature. Surely it must be bigger than nature. And it might
No.
not be. It
Right.
might not be for a lot of people. And that I think, I know we want to consider all those social things and start experimenting and going crazy about our identity, but at the end of the day, a girl is born a girl and a guy is born a guy. I'm not saying a guy can't wear a skirt. Harry Styles looked great in a dress one time. I'm not kidding. That's cool, but
Oh man.
you can't force everyone else to change the English language, to accommodate your identity or
Mhm.
change laws, like laws that won't really protect anyone. It's not protecting anyone but your feelings. So that, I think, is a little too overkill. And a lot of kids in my generation, again, were raised to value our feelings over everything else because we've
Mhm.
always been pampered with our emotions. But what's crazy though is that even though we're pampered with our emotions, we have a lot of emotional problems. And I think maybe that pampering has made us really overthink
Mhm.
and maybe put our emotions under more scrutiny to make us have more issues. I had depression at such a young age
Okay.
because I was one of those kids, who was like super focused on what I should be feeling and why I should be feeling. And I had it for 2 years.
Mhm.
I got over it and stuff, but
Right.
I didn't need medication to get out of it. And
Okay.
I never wanted medication because if medication made me happy, put dopamine, I would never have true happiness again. It would be fake. It'd always be conditional.
Right.
Taking the medication. So I'm like, I have a feeling that I'm only, what was it, 14? I know I'm gonna be better one day. I was gonna be happy one day. And voila, what happened is that I changed my perspective, and I reformed myself essentially, and that's how I became better. So I have a feeling that it's our minds just overthinking because of, I don't know if it's excessive stimulants, because I will tell you, my generation is very stimulated by the media, polarization, everything.
Well, sure.
We have everything everywhere all at once in our fingertips at all times.
Right.
Everything. I mean, I don't think the youth has ever been more aware of things going on
Well, that's
than
true.
my generation because of
True.
what they're exposed to every single day
Right.
by just scrolling on their phones. So
Mhm.
information is something so sacred now, more than ever. And I think that it's not just an intrigue anymore to learn. I think we have a moral obligation to learn now, because if we're ignorant, someone else will suffer. That's
Mhm.
pretty much it.
Yeah.
And I feel like by choosing to be ignorant and hiding away in your own little algorithm and not going out of your comfort zone to get out of that algorithm on YouTube or whatever, where you learn the media, you're not going to have a functional society.
Right. It's very interesting. Yeah, back in, when I was growing up, no, we didn't have that technology at our fingertips.
Yeah, no.
And not at all.
Mhm.
Computers really started to, they built computers in the 50s,
Yeah, but they
and
took up a whole room, and you
a
couldn't see
building.
stuff. Yeah, a building.
Yeah, sometimes a
Oh.
whole building or a couple of office spaces.
Mhm.
I saw old IBM computers. My dad's best friend worked for IBM back in the 50s all the way through the 80s, as a matter of fact. And things have changed so much. Even being on radio, let's just equate that to radio. Me being in
Mhm.
radio, when I first was on the air, we were playing vinyl records on
Yeah.
the air. Okay.
And now you could just stream it
Now,
anywhere.
yeah, you don't need
Everything is
CD.
streamed.
I have over 20,000 CDs and they're worthless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not to me. I mean, because I could take the cover out and I can look at the stories and the pictures in there,
Sure,
just the
I did the
album.
media, but you
Mhm.
have to start with that in order to get it online in the first place.
Right.
So it's not completely worthless.
Right. But if
But
in a market,
yeah, in a market, it's worthless.
depending upon what it is.
But
if it's,
CDs and still sell.
Yeah.
Vinyl records still sell. Maybe not as much as they used to, but they still sell. People still really like those novelties.
Vinyl has made a comeback,
Yeah.
and so has turntables.
Even in
Mhm.
my generation is starting to find like trends where they're like, let's go analog, get dumb phones, and they find it like
Yeah.
a cool little novelty to have like a little vinyl player. Also, a lot of my generation, because of parents and because of because our parents, your like Gen X or your
Mhm.
generation, you're the
Sure.
ones who are making the media that we consume most of the
Right.
time. It's mostly older people who are
Right.
in the industry making entertainment. So
Mhm.
they'll play 80s songs, 70s songs, stuff like that, and the
Yeah.
kids really like it. So
Right.
then they start making that a trend, and so they start liking that stuff. There's a
My-
lot of throwback. There's a lot of 80s rewind throwback stuff in my generation.
And when I was growing up, my parents did the same thing to me.
Yeah, I think
know?
with the 40s, right? With
Yeah,
my
30s,
mom and
40s.
dad,
Mhm.
my dad, it was the 40s.
Yeah.
And then with his parents, it was like the 20s.
Right.
So there's always like a little throwback period.
Yeah.
And then in like the 20s, it was the late 1890s, like 1890s.
Something
Pretty
like
much, because
that,
if you
yeah.
look at it, like even in the 60s, like the hippie movement, if you look
Mhm.
at the Art Nouveau movement in the
Right.
1890s
Mhm.
and stuff like the late 1800s, it's very similar. Like you look at advertisements, the women's hair,
Right.
and you look at the women's hair in the 1800 stuff, and it's similar. So people always like go back to find inspiration for something new.
The old saying that everything old is new again.
Yeah,
You hang on to those clothes
Mhm.
because they're going to come back in style.
yeah.
So I'm doing that with my Cavaricci pants. That was good in the 80s.
Yeah.
We'll see if it comes back. I don't
It
know.
might, but I think it
Mhm.
depends if it's presented.
No
If it's
kidding.
presented to the youth through
Yeah.
an entertainment medium, it'll come back.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. If you see it in a movie, and it
Yeah, like in
catches
Stranger
on.
Things, we love that show. It
Yeah.
takes place in the 80s, but
Mhm.
the Duffer Brothers, the people who wrote it, they're like super in tune with what, their childhood and stuff, and they kind of, it's their baby, that
Mhm.
show. And so they put a lot of things. You see like Dungeons and Dragons and all these little 80s stuff. And so,
Right.
I mean, that's because of that show, Kate Bush reached the charts in the 2020s.
Yeah.
Kate Bush.
Yeah.
Oh, she was surprised too.
Well, I'm sure,
She's like, I'm #1 again.
Right. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Tracy Chapman with her big hit Fast Car years ago.
Yeah, I love that
Um,
song.
I played that when it was new on
Mhm.
a station here in town, as a matter of fact. Of course, Luke Combs, a big country star,
Mhm.
you know, covered it. Exactly, he covered it with the exact lyrics. Okay,
Mhm.
which you have to listen to it, but yeah, you know, he did a great job. He did it in the same key and everything like that. And then I believe it was last year they were on an award show together and they sang it together, and that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
That's kind of
And
cool.
then I remember Lady Gaga, she did a performance of Tony Bennett. So
Yeah,
then now a few kids will know The Lady's a Tramp or something like that.
right.
They
Well,
might know one or two
that's
songs.
Frank Sinatra.
And then I
but yeah.
remember, yeah, I know, but they got
Yeah.
it through Tony Bennett.
Right.
And then you'll have Dua Lipa doing a collab with Elton John, and then they discover Elton John music.
And that's
And
great.
even though at first they think, oh, who's that old guy with Dua Lipa? Dua Lipa's so nice, allowing hidden artists to show their talent. And I'm like, Google Elton John.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I got to meet Elton John at Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum riding a bicycle up there with my
Mhm.
buddy one day because he said Elton John's going to be at the Coliseum. I didn't know who he was.
Mm-hmm. You didn't know
And-
Elton John?
Well, I was a kid. I think I was
How old?
12.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
And you know, it's going back to the early 70s, like
Mm-hmm.
1973. Okay, and he was at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum on Long Island, New York. And my friend says he's coming out of the limo right now. I said, who? I didn't know who he was. So he actually said hello to us, which was really kind of cool.
Oh, that's
You know,
pretty
so
cool.
you know, later on became a massive star, you know, and doing a lot of movie themes, the Lion King and so
Oh my
forth,
God.
and so much great work that
Can
he did.
you feel the love
Yeah,
tonight?
I love his music. I do. I just you
Yeah,
know,
Elton John. I really like
you know.
your song. I also
Mhm.
like Tiny Dancer a lot.
right. And then when he
Yeah.
rededicated
Crocodile Rock.
Mhm.
I like that one for some reason. It's weird, but I like it. Same
Well-
reason why I like Mr. Tambourine Man by Bob Dylan.
Oh, well,
It's
good.
weird, but I like it. I know my ELA teacher hates that one because it's full of nonsense. But I like the fact that it's nonsense.
Well, you know, that's okay. I mean, Bob Dylan is the generations, like 6 generations or so, 6 decades, I should say, you know, and of hits and I should say, chart-topping albums each decade.
Yeah.
You know, it's just amazing.
I
his
don't like
music.
country, but I like Bob Dylan.
Well, he's more folk.
He's like folk, country, rock
More-
mix.
yeah, folk
You know,
rock.
he's around. He's around
folk
there.
rock. His son, Jacob Dylan. Okay, if you can remember his son at all, the Wallflowers, and their song was One Headlight. If you ever get a chance to listen to that song,
I don't know.
I think his son has a better voice than Bob Dylan does. Bob is
Really?
one heck of a writer, you know, and he's written for other
I
artists
think
as
I
well.
like Bob Dylan's voice
A
for
lot of
what he
people like him.
writes. It
Oh, yeah.
fits what he writes. I mean, he's not gonna sing, you know, something by Beyonce. That would be
Maybe you should try
disastrous.
that, you know.
Maybe with AI has probably done it.
No, well,
you can find an AI covering any song with like Frank
Probably.
Sinatra doing "Gangsta's Paradise," and it actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Or-
the AI is everything pretty
You-
much
you
now. You could just
find
do
Weird-
anything now.
Find Weird Al doing Gangster's Paradise, his version.
He probably did that without AI. He
Well,
probably actually did
he
that.
did that, as
Yeah,
a
he
matter of
did.
fact. Yeah, and he called it Amish Paradise, as a matter of fact.
That's great.
Yeah, many years ago. Wrapping up another edition of Treasure Coast Forum with me, Ray Thomas, and Amira. And we should put that the other way around. She's the star. But we'll catch you next time at 1450 WSTU.